Welcome to 8x8 Unplugged, where we connect you to the rock and roll universe with our award-winning 8x8 meetings platform. I'm your host, John Delosier. I'm joined by renowned photographer, drummer, and award-winning author Rob Shanahan, who will take your questions and lay down the rhythms for this rock and roll journey. Let's go. Hi, everybody, and welcome once again to 8x8 Unplugged, where we bring music and technology together. I'm John Delosier, your host, and as always, joined by author, by drummer, by world-renowned rock and roll, country, you name it, photographer, Rob Shanahan. Rob, what's up? How's that? My favorite.
Thank you, John. Good to be here and here with Phil Vassar. Come on,
brother. Today's personal.
This is the day. You know, Phil, you are the reason why me and John have been on this incredible bromance journey. I love it. He's opened me up to the corporate world, to the keynote speaking world, and I can't thank him enough, and I can't thank you enough for bringing me and John together.
That's not right.
Two good friends, two good men, and we all go way back, all of us, separately and together now. So it's really, really cool.
I love it.
Thanks for having me on. This is fun.
We love having you, and you're kind of that. You're that guy outside of the amazing talent. We're gonna talk all about the musical journey. In my mind, the real piano man, frankly.
Oh yeah.
And and obviously our kids and our girls are such good friends and all that stuff. But you're a connector, man. One of the things I love about you is you do this a lot. It's not just music. It's not just art. There's actors. There's friends. You connect a lot of people together.
Yeah, I've got one of my buddies not long ago. He said, you have like the most eclectic friend group I've ever known in my whole life. But it's true, and it's like, I have such good friends that are not just in the industry that we are in. So many of my friends are, window salesmen or insurance guys, whatever. I mean, everything. They come from all walks of life and beverage and I don't know. I like to surround myself with good people. I'm lucky. I have a lot of good buddies, good friends, and great family. So I'm a lucky guy. I don't know.
You sure are, Rob. We talk a lot on this show about the heart, and there's no bigger heart than this man on with us today. So
that's right. It comes out in your songwriting. I mean, we should just get right into it. Your songwriting. You write about exactly what you just said. You have friends that are window dressers, insurance salesmen, beverage guys. You write about the American guy and the American gal and the American family. And that's why it's such a big hit. You know how to write that gets into people's heart and soul. And it's a beautiful thing. And it comes out of who you are. That's exactly who you are. And it comes out in your songs. It's a beautiful thing to see.
What's that process like? How does that happen? Like, how do you do that? Like, it's amazing to me.
You know what? It's just being a songwriter is a lot of fun. I mean, I do love it. It's a really honest thing. I know a lot of guys that approach songwriting like a business and they're good at it. They've had a bunch of hits, but it's like they all have 3 songs going at once. It's almost like a assembly line process. I never was very good at doing it that way. I kind of like to write about things I know about. And love or lost love or your kids or your family or your friends. Anything you see, day to day, and sometimes you're smart enough to go, oh, well, this is a great song idea, and sometimes it just goes right past you, I've been pretty lucky and to catch some of those, and I've missed a lot of them, but I catch some of them, most of them, some of them.
You came to town in the late '90s for that reason. I mean, folks recognize your talent, and I know, obviously know you personally and growing up in Virginia and met your beautiful mom, who's actually, Rob, I have one up on you. His mom has made me breakfast before.
That's right.
That's right. She can flat out cook. But your mom's awesome. But you came in the late '90s, and then Rob, he hit with Carlene.
Oh yeah.
And I think Just Another Day in Paradise. I've talked to 20 people in the last week that knew you were coming on this show, and every one of them bring up that song.
Yeah.
Every one of them.
Well, let's talk about the first record. So your first record went gold, 5  number 1 hits. How did that feel? How did that make you feel?
It felt me feel great. I don't even know where do you go from there? At that point, it was funny because I didn't have any idea. I was writing at the time, and I'd sort of kind of given up. I was a little older, I'm not 22 or whatever. So you could get into your 30s, and you're like, well, you're not prime grade A artist material anymore. And then so I let a lot of my songs go with Tim, with McGraw and Al Jackson and Jody Messina and Kenny Chesney, all these guys, and a lot of my friends recorded my songs and had big hits with them. So I was on a roll as a songwriter, and I said, man, this is not so bad. You get these checks in the mail, you don't have to do anything except sit there and wait for them. And but I always wanted to be an artist. So I had my own bar, my own piano bar in Nashville, and I was playing there every weekend and just having a blast. And all of a sudden, I had all these hits as a writer, and then all these labels go, man, we want you to do a record, and I couldn't buy a record deal for years and years, and then all of a sudden they wanted me to do records. And so when I decided to do Arista, with Clive Davis and then Tim Dubois, they opened that label in Nashville, and some of my favorite writers at the time, Alan Jackson and Radney Foster, and some of those guys were on this label, Leroy Parnell, and I said, there's only one label I want to be on, and that's Arista. So I decided to do a record deal on Arista, and for me it was like, I just get to do expensive demos in case somebody wants to cut one of my songs. That's all it was to me, and it ended up it just became a really big record, and now it just changed my life, and so I've been on tour for the last 20 years because of it.
It's amazing. And those first couple records produced by our dear friend, another big connection point with you and me, Byron Gallimore, who.
That's right.
I know how much you love Byron, how much I love Byron, and his children and our kids are all friends. And
I love Byron.
Yeah, he's something special. Byron discovered basically Tim McGraw and Jody and some of those folks that Phil wrote for.
Yeah,
he sure did.
Huge footprint in Nashville. Huge. And I will tell you, Just a Little While is a great song that we all can relate to as young guys and all that stuff. But the next 30 years, I'm getting chills singing. I mean, really. Like I'm worried about my next 30 years right now. I hope I have 30 more at this point.
I know, man.
But the first time you hear that song, Rob, I mean, you stop and it just resonates with every guy. It's crazy.
It does, and it makes you think. It makes you really evaluate your life and where you're at and where you're going. And that's one thing about your songs. It makes you really think about your day-to-day, who you're surrounding yourself with.
Yeah.
Getting back to what you said, surrounding yourself with good people. But I want to touch on something. I want to go back a little bit. You talked about your piano bar, your club in Nashville. So right. I read somewhere, you get to Nashville and everyone's telling you, look, you play piano, you need to play guitar. That's just how we do it in town. Yeah. And you said, screw that. If I can find a venue, I'm going to make my own. And that says a lot about who you are. And any of us, really, you got to find your own way to make it happen in your own destiny. And that's such a beautiful story. So I want to hear more about that bar. I wish I knew you back then. It would have been cool to step foot in that club.
Well, I was just stubborn. I always have been. It's just, I said, look, I'm not going to throw a cowboy hat on and play guitar because you know what? 99% of the guys that wear cowboy hats, they've never been on a horse in their life. It's just an image, It's an image thing, And I mean, George Strait is a cowboy. Yeah, that guy's a real cowboy, but not a lot of them are, And so for me, it was like, look, I play piano. I'm a Billy Joel, Elton John, Ronnie Milsap, Jerry Lee Lewis, Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder, Lionel Richie. They're my guys. All these. Jackson Brown. And
you just answered one of my questions right there. Who was your influences? Now we know. Those are.
Oh yeah, I mean, all these guys. I mean, it was always for me. Those were my heroes. So, and of course, the Beatles, and McCartney was always one of my favorite writers. And so as you know, I mean, you get to hang out with those guys. Unlike the rest of us. Most people, but it's it was funny. I did actually meet Ringo in Nashville one day. He was with Gary Burr. They were eating breakfast, and I ran over to see Gary. I said, "Hey, Gary," and I looked and I said, "Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing?" And he goes, "Hi, I'm Ringo." I was like, "Yep." I'm like, "Wow." So
those two are good pals and good songwriting partners.
Dude, man, it's crazy. It's crazy. So, I mean, so you know what, we really are lucky. We have, you know, we get to do things that people can only dream about, really, and be in situations that you know, only dreamed of being in, and you know, I'm really thankful and grateful for it, and music has allowed me a lot of opportunities to do these things.
Yeah, but the thing is about what you just said, Robin, and I know this for sure with you, Phil, is you love the live shows.
Oh yeah.
Even starting back to that piano bar, you're an amazing singer. Blessed, God touched those hands with regards to the keyboards. I mean, it's amazing your piano playing, but you are so good live.
You're a great live performer. Yeah.
Totally.
There's a lot of guys who are great in the studio, but you get them out live and it's or vice versa. They're great live and they can't write a song, but you can do both. Write a song, get out and perform it, and make everyone love it. That's a true blessed talent, my friend.
I'm lucky. I love it. I really do. And you know, being able to play live, that's your payoff. You know, you work so hard, you write these songs. It's kind of agonizing sometimes. You go in and you're in a room by yourself, and then you cut the stuff in the studio, and then, you know, you never know if a song's going to be a single or get on the radio. You don't ever know these things. And then all of a sudden you have a hit song, and then you're playing for a big audience, and then they're singing your song back to you, and you just sit there and go, oh my God.
Oh man.
This is why I do this. This was it, you know.
Do you remember the first time playing live when people were singing back to you your song? Wow.
I mean, I do. I mean, I remember I went my first big tour. I went on tour with Tim and Faith on that Soul to Soul tour. And Carlene was out. It was a, you know, it was a big hit. And then, and Paradise was just coming out. It was just on the radio. Of course, became a big hit too. And then, and I'd had all these songs that I'd written for Tim and for a lot of folks. And then, so I went on tour with Tim and Faith, with just me and a piano in all these arenas. It was just me with a piano in the middle of an arena. And I mean, just while you think I wasn't a nervous wreck, I mean, I'd been playing my bar, but it was surreal almost, you know, and it was a great time. And then I remember just stopping, and I would always kind of end with Piano Man, because it was like one of those things. I would start playing Billy Joel and everybody would sing along, and then Faith would be talking in my ear, whoever's going, do Piano Man, do Piano Man.
Wow, what a great break that was to be on tour with those two.
Yeah, it's just it's a lot of fun. You know, they've you know, always been great, and you know, they live not far. They live across the street. You know, it's funny. My dog would always run over to their house, and they feel your dog Zach's over here again. I'm like, I love it. Feeding him steaks. I mean, what are you doing over there?
I love it.
You had mentioned somewhere, I read somewhere, you said, look, if you can't play a song sitting at a piano and make it feel right, if the song doesn't happen with just one guy acoustically on a guitar or piano, it's not worth the song. Let's talk about that a little bit, because I've heard someone else say that quote. Mr. Keith Richards, he said the exact same thing.
Oh, really?
If a song doesn't hold up on its own with one instrument, and his happens to be acoustic guitar, it's not worthy of writing the song for the band.
Well, I think there's so much to that. I mean, you know, and you know, today everything is so overproduced. You know, there's so much. There's a million tracks on stuff, and a lot of artists. I mean, honestly, you know, a true artist to me can sit there with his instrument and blow your mind. You know, I've seen Elton John do it. I've seen Billy Joel do it. I've seen Vince Gill do it. I've seen Garth Brooks do it. I have seen James Taylor, whoever, these people, whatever. Yeah. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of people. 99% of artists could not ever pull that off, and I think it's just, there's something about the magic of hearing a songwriter do a song they wrote on their instrument. There's nothing more pure than that to me. And seriously, watching Jimmy Buffett play by himself.
Oh yeah,
is so freaking good.
Yeah,
you know, or you know, whoever. I mean, the list really does go. Warren Zevon was somebody I saw do a thing by himself, and you know, it was pretty magical. You know, but if you can sit there, you know, in a room, and I got to play some shows with Ray Charles, you know, but just watching Ray Charles in a room by himself play piano and stuff, it was just, I mean, I get chills thinking about it right now, you know. So It was pretty magical stuff, and I think, you know, I would love to see, you know, Keith and the Stones just kind of sitting there around Wild Horses or something. I bet that would be just awesome.
It's totally magic. And I've been in rehearsal with the Stones in a tiny little rehearsal room in North Hollywood, just seeing the five of them play through their material. It's incredible. It's so much fun. And then after, they get in a little huddle, the four of them, Charlie, Mick and Keith and Ronnie. They just huddle in front of the drum riser, and they're like little school kids talking about whatever and laughing. And it's what keeps them guys young, and it's what keeps going. And the same with you. Your music is your lifeblood. I love it. And it comes out on stage.
Rob, it's always a treat to go to Phil's house, and you never know. Here's what I love about your place. First of all, I felt comfortable there from day one. But secondly, you never know who's going to show up. And inevitably, you always end up in the wine cellar.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, this is a nice segue to Songs from the Cellar, which I wanted to talk to you about.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Songs from the Cellar. You've had some great, amazing artists come in. Yeah. You guys collaborate, and whatever you come up with. What an interesting process. Let's hear it.
You know what? We the first season was, of course, we had Mike Tyson. I had Tommy Shaw from Styx. I had Peter Frampton. John Rich. Hunter Hayes. The list goes on and on.
Dennis Quaid, I read somewhere, was there too. Yeah.
Dennis Quaid. We have the new season that debuts the 10th of September, which is coming up on Circle. But Dennis Quaid did the show. Chingy did the show. I've had Vince Gill, Jody Messina, Tracy Lawrence. The list goes on and on. And what an amazing season. And I get to stay in my cellar. They come to me. It's a pretty cool gig. I'm like, this could be the best gig I've ever had. Coming. All I do is walk downstairs and just interview my friends and sing songs with them. How good is that?
Tell us what you're working on now.
The latest album I did is called Stripped Down, and that's the one I just released. And that one it's basically, I went down in my studio. It's just me and a piano, some guitar, and only a couple of the songs have drums. But a couple of the songs, 2 or 3 of the songs are 20, 25 years old. They are, and one of them is probably one of my favorite songs I've ever written. I don't know. I think it's one of my favorite records I've ever done because of that. I think it's just, I've really gotten to, kind of reflect, and some of the stuff's brand new. I actually wrote one of the songs with Jack Tempchin, who wrote Peaceful Easy Feeling for the Eagles, and a lot of songs like Slow Dance and a lot of the Glenn Frey stuff, but we wrote and we wrote a really great song, and so it's kind of fun to say, I can still do this, right? It feels great.
When you say we, you're talking about Jeff Smith, your longtime guitar player. Let's talk about Jeff. He's such a great guy, and one thing that I loved about jumping on the road with you, we haven't talked about this yet, but I've had the fun, pleasure, and luxury of being able to jump on your tour bus and hit the road with you for a string of shows. And man, what a thrill seeing you guys on stage, off stage, in the tour bus. Very fun. Yeah. And Jeff and I became really good pals. And he's a great guy. Tell me about your history with Jeff and your writing partnership.
We've known each other my whole life. Seriously, my father and Jeff's brother, who's 18 years older than him, were in a band together in the 60s. So wow. Jeff really basically known each other since we were born, and knew of each other, and we went to different high schools and all that. But he's such a great player and a great singer, and he's really loves to write songs, and he's come along as his writing's gotten so good, and we write, of course, and so it's just it's been a lot of fun. That relationship will always be around. He's one of my close friends. We're getting ready to, of course, we did that record. We're going to do this little piano bar thing, and he's part of all of it, which is great. But it's great to have that. He's always been that constant in my music career, really, too. So we had our first band together back when we were 20 or 2 or 1, and then of course I moved to Nashville. He stayed in Virginia. And eventually, I was there a long time, had my bar playing, and then I started writing songs. I got, had all these songs recorded, and then I got my record deal. And then I called Jeff up. I said, Jeff, I need you to come play in my band. I need a band together to go full time on the road, right? So he was driving basically from Virginia, from my house in Virginia, our house, and to Nashville, 8 hours per every trip. He'd drive to Nashville 8 hours and get on the bus, and then he'd get off the bus and then he'd drive 8 hours home. So it was crazy.
Wow.
So he did that for 7 years until he finally.
Whoa. And he's such, Rob, to your point, he's such a great guy.
Yeah.
I remember when Jack, we were in LA and we were backstage, and I've got this great picture of Jack, my son Jack, bent over backward with his guitar. You know, of course, Jack, by the way, Phil, Jack's 6'6" now, just FYI. Yeah, yeah, beast.
6'6".
Absolute beast. He's a baller, man. He loves to play ball. He's a good basketball player. But Rob, I didn't know that you were on tour together. On a string. Is that when you shot Phil for Volume 1?
Well, we did a few things. We did a couple of record covers and a bunch of other things. But this is a good segue into that photo that I have of you in my book, Volume 1. People ask me about it all the time. Is that Photoshop? How'd you do it? Is there a trampoline involved? I'm like, no, he does that live on stage every show. And I remember in Vegas, I saw you do it live, and I'm like, man, we got to recreate that out somewhere with a beautiful scene. So my wife and I spent the afternoon scouting locations. We found this perfect spot, and I realized that the absolute best time would be sunrise.
Yes.
The sun just coming up over the horizon and lighting up the red rocks with that road in the background. And I came back to the casino and I presented to you, and you're like, fuck it, let's do it. We'll leave. We did. I'm like, there's no way he's going to do it, and there's no way we're going to get his piano set up on the road. I don't have time to get a permit or get an okay from. It's like, we don't have to ask anyone. We're just going to go do it. So
great.
That night,
didn't we have like park rangers come? Didn't we have somebody come and try to tell us? You know, I can't remember. It was somewhere. I thought it was that we weren't supposed to have the piano in the middle of the desert. It was something, I don't know. Maybe you remember better than I
remember. Yeah, like Mr. Joe Police came and said, "Wait, what are you guys doing? You can't do this." I'm like, "Well, we're almost done. Just give us another 10 minutes."
Yeah, they were really nice. Yeah, they were nice about it.
So the end of the show, you just get done playing a great show in Vegas. We jump in the tour bus, all of us. We cruise out there, and you're like, "Just wake me when you're ready." We had the piano set up, and you know it's total dark out there, and all of a sudden the sun starts coming up over the horizon. And I went and knocked on your door and said, "Phil, you're on," and you came out. All right, let's go. You jump up on the piano, and we did it maybe 3 times. We got the shot, and off we went.
Of course,
I haven't done it in a long time because I got 2 new knees now, probably because of those jumps.
Yeah, those jumps are crazy, man. And you would do them with those big engineer boots on, and I was always thinking.
Yeah, but it's a great photo. Everybody asks about that picture. I've got the book on my coffee table, shockingly. And
I have all the Shanahan books in my house.
Absolutely. And there's going to be a volume 2, right? We got to get it for volume 2. Maybe you recreate it. Well, maybe you bring the trampoline this time. I'm just saying. I'm not saying he needs it.
Maybe cheerleaders. I don't know. I'm just thinking. Throwing that out there.
Exactly.
It was pretty impressive and still one of my favorite shots because, you know, I remember how much went into it and just the whole event of capturing that photo. You know, it was just.
Well, it's my favorite album cover. The Greatest Hits album 2 is my favorite for sure. It's just such a great. I don't know, man. It was like none of them. I never thought any of them compared to that one.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's because we had the guy that did it. The guy.
I love that, man. That's what I live for. And, you know, like you with your songs, you do it from the heart and you do it how you'd want people to see it and feel it and experience it. And that's what I do with my photos. So glad to hear that'll work.
You know, one of my claim to fame is Shanahan turned down Ted Nugent to shoot my wedding.
Damn right.
I don't know if you knew that. Yeah, Joanna, you know, who you met, and it's been, believe it or not, 4 years now, but he turned down Nugent to shoot my wedding. And some of those photos, Phil, I'll send you a couple of these pics. You can't make it up.
Oh, that night. Trust me, that night of your wedding, I'm back at my room. You rented me that cool condo on the beach. I get back and I was uploading the photos and I sent them to you, Phil. I'm like, damn, our bro did it.
I know.
Exactly.
I sent you photos of the wedding. I remember that.
Exactly.
July 4th.
Great.
You know, we're on this call and I'm looking at the 2 of you guys, not to be super sappy, but I am. You know, marriages and children and divorces and more marriages and hopefully no more and more divorce and hopefully no more children that we know of. But you know, it's just a fun run. It's so good to do this with you guys. And Rob, Thanks for co-hosting, but Phil.
I love you guys, man. I want to do it all in the same room once we get all this over with. I can't wait till we're all together doing this again. I am really, really excited about getting playing music again and getting out and seeing my friends and seeing my audience. You know, it's just part of my life. It's such a part of who I am and what I do. You know, of course, I love, like I said, don't get me wrong, I love being home, but man, it's just something about getting on that tour bus, getting into that town, and then that energy you get from folks when you get on that stage. It really puts gas in your tank. It's amazing.
What else? Anything else you can plug for everybody watching?
You know what I'm getting ready to do? Like I told you, my piano bar. I'm actually shooting it right here. I'm doing a whole series of just where I got a bunch of my friends too, some of that, but we're doing all covers, our favorite covers. I'm doing Elton John, my Billy Joel, my Jackson Brown, and my Bob Seger, Petty, whatever, all of it. You know, where we do music that inspired us to be who we are. You know, the Beatles and the Eagles and whoever that spoke to us enough to say, you know, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to be. I want to be a songwriter, singer-songwriter. And so I'm excited about it. I mean, I've been relearning all the stuff I used to play when I had my piano bar.
Oh, that's so great. No rehearsal, just jump on into them. There's nothing like it.
It's going to be raw and fun, and it's going to be killer.
Rob, anything to close us out with? I mean, this is just...
Oh, man, we just...
I'm sad. I don't even want to hang up.
Oh, I love it, man. But we got to do this again. This is a good time.
We touched on a lot of cool things. I was talking to my sister Patty this morning. You know, she's your biggest fan in Minnesota. She was so excited. They announced the lineup for next year Woodstock, which, by the way, is like 12 miles from my hometown.
Is it really?
All the guys that were on for this year, which got canceled, are on for next year. She was excited to see you on there. So she's looking forward to seeing you there. You always take good care of my sister.
Always. She's always so nice. She's always so sweet.
And always in Ohio, of course, he knows this. Aunt Debbie and Kara. I mean, how many shows have they been to that you've hooked up my family just so generously? It's so generously, man. Just anytime, so generous.
You know what? I love it. I love having my friends show up. I love it. It's I'm just lucky people want to come see me play anymore. I'm like that. I'm lucky.
Yeah, you are going to have to worry about that, my friend, because everybody wants to see you play. It's been a great time hanging with you, my brother. You know I love you.
Well, I love you guys. Thanks again for having me on. This was way, way, way too damn much fun. I love it. Kiss the gang for me, everyone.
We'll do it. You all heard it here on the 8x8 platform. Thanks to Phil Vassar. Always Rob Shanahan, best co-host in the world. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Love you guys.